Hey, good morning, folks, and welcome to our train and trade. Interesting day to do it. Uh, Past performance is not indicative of future results. In my opinion, the market went down to a low, and you need to write this number down. It's 68.14 low, 68.14, and I will say this: that's way above our 67. Let me give you the number 67. I gave it to you yesterday. Let me find 67.71 number. So looks like the market's weathered the storm, so to speak. Right now, you've got the S&P back to 69.02. If you remember, that's where we opened the year at. That's my opinion. Now, I've studied Trump for about 25 years, and I'd like to sort of, I alluded to this. I want to talk about these three phases, okay? Because in a market that we got like today, you can use what I'm about to tell you. The first phase of Trump, the way he negotiates is he bloodies the other party's nose, okay? And the second phase, okay, which I think we're into right now, he offers a handkerchief, okay? And then the third phase, when he gets his deal, he'll go lovey-dovey. So this is a way to sort of position yourself mentally when you hear something that the world's heads explode on. I use it for a time to reset, maybe make some additional money because I know about these three phases. And I wanted to point this out to people because this is how I think about it when I hear something like, I'm taking Greenland. That is bloodying the Europeans' nose. Right now, started bleeding all over the place, and he offered a handkerchief. Okay. The next phase will be he goes lovey-dovey. And that's where the market will surge higher than it was and make new highs on the year. That's the way it works. Write this down. Think about it the next time you hear something. Those are the three phases. If you study his art of the deal, I've read it many times, and I came to this conclusion about 10 years ago. This is how the man negotiates. If we were playing poker, it'd be easy to read, is all I'm telling you. Okay. He tries not to be, but I think he would be if you playing poker. As an old poker player, to throw that little caveat in there. But it's fun to watch because I usually make a lot of money during these phases. And if you listen to me and follow what I tell you, I think you will make a lot of money too, because that's good. Okay. And I just think this is what it is. So think about it. Think about it very much. Okay. I wanted to cover that to get started. That was a last minute slide I had Jonathan add to the pile. We got a great presentation today, so listen up. Now this is Sawgrass last year. Our annual Sawgrass will be here May 31st to June 2nd. You have to secure a seat because we have limited seating. It's sold out every year. Last year we had, I think, 10 perfect trades over that 2 days. And you can see we can't take any more people because we don't have room in our picture to include them. So we have to stop it at some point. But get your seat, okay? And that's it. That's it, okay? Monday through Friday, we meet 11 o'clock. I'm going to tell you, though, I don't like the numbers. I don't like the numbers to shrink. And, we do a lot of work putting this thing together. It's really at the middle of the day. It's a great time. And, I want it to grow. And so help us grow it. Invite people. If you're in other webinars or anything, invite into this. This is the meat of the day. T-Buzz Talking Trade. Jonathan, yesterday we did a trade. What was our trade we did yesterday? Remind me.
It was on GDX, a GDX call spread.
GDX, right? Okay. Did y'all see GDX went to 105 this morning? I think the high. Let me check the high on GDX. I think it was You got it, Jonathan? I got it, I think, somewhere.
Well, you said take half profits if it hits 105, and it opened above 105 this morning. So
Yeah, so there you go. We pay you to be here. Slap those people that are not. Thank you very much. All right, Jonathan, cover this, please.
first 3 days just updated a minute ago. Got the S&P at 6901. It is, as Tom mentioned, some levels here. The first 3 days low is down at 68.66. And the first 3 days high was up to 69.91. The important numbers here. When did I update? Let me make sure this is updated right here. Yeah, we opened up at 68.39 today, made a low of 68.14. Now we're trading at 69.01, so things have recovered here. But the important number to the downside is 67.71, as Tom just mentioned. So set an alert on your platforms for that number, 67.71, which was the low from December. As we go through the list, Tom, we still have gold and silver long, crude as well. Bonds are short. Financials are short. A bunch of long here, mostly related to precious metals, with biotech fit in there. We got Apple still short, Google still long. Most of the rest of the Mag 7 are short. AMD's long though, Micron real strong, STX, WDC. Now there's Walmart long. General Motors taking a little break. Got a few banks that are short, and there's your nuclear NNE. Hey, Jim, the link to get here every day is dtitrader.com/live. dtitrader.com/live.
And thank you, Jim, for thinking of me. I appreciate that. Everybody here ought to take that link and spread the word, folks. Spread the word. I've got to have guerrilla marketing to get people here. You got to tell people to be here. We put a lot of work into it, and it's well worth it. Okay?
All right, this spreadsheet that we just looked at is on slide number 8 of today's presentation. I'll share the slides once again in the chat. And we'll get on to talking about trading the news.
And Jonathan, once you cover it, I'll play the commentator when you go through the slides. Isn't those slides pretty? Give Jonathan a hand.
Trading the news, training trade for January 21st, 2026. Man, the year's already moving along, isn't it? You have 3 parts of the content when news is released. You have the initial reaction when the news is released. You kind of have a follow-up period, and then you got a period where people read up on the news, what actually happened, and go from there. The market will initially react. So first 5-10 minutes after a report, the market kind of reacts, and usually that's a very quick reaction. All right, it's the timing, not the details of the report, but the timing of how prices move is what's important. All right. Then there's a follow-up where the market responds to that initial move. Once the dust settles from the release, the market starts to digest what really happened, and in that first hour or so, you get kind of a good framework. We like to use about an hour after the news to get a good framework of where prices have moved after the initial report, after the report. And of course, people read the news, and if they agree on the initial direction, they'll take it that way. If they don't agree, they'll take it the other way. But that follow-up time period, that hour or so after the news, is going to be important to establish a high and a low to trade from. Now, there's 5 major economic reports that we like to focus in on. They all 5 of these at least released at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Got the employment situation report, which includes non-farm payrolls. You got CPI and PPI. You got GDP. You got PCE. CPI and PPI, they're released around mid-month. They flip them around. Sometimes CPI is first, PPI is next, or vice versa, but they're usually on back-to-back days. Not always, but usually on back-to-back days. All right. And it's all about inflation. All about inflation. And the employment reports start each month. Like I said, probably the biggest one is non-farm payrolls, but unemployment rate is very big as well, and also the participation rate. All right, so these are really important. Again, 8:30 in the morning when they release early month. You have GDP also released monthly, right? On near the end of the month this time around. So GDP should be coming up pretty soon. If not this week, is it? And of course, you have PCE also released near the end of the month. Of course, we had the situation last year. We're past the situation last year where the government was shut down. So things got a little funky, but now we're moving on to more normal times with the 5 economic reports. But let's get into what's important about these. Is how Tom trades these reports. So, like I mentioned, all 5 occur at 8:30. About 5 minutes prior to the report, we're going to write down where the markets are trading, like the S&P, the Nasdaq, and some key stocks that you might be looking at or not intraday, but pre-market. That's all to get a reference point, right? You can't, tape read. You can't analyze the market without have a starting point. You got to have a starting point. So that's a reference point there. About 5 minutes prior, it didn't have to be exact, but about sometime right before the news reports, write down where these markets are trading. Then about an hour after the news, you're going to do the same thing. Go through your key markets, write down where they're trading. You're going to connect those dots and see how prices moved. And of course, from that movement, you can gain a directional bias on that. And basically, if prices moved higher, right, and prices confirming that, we'll use some bullish strategies to take advantage of that. Or vice versa, if prices, trending low, we'll use some bearish strategies to take advantage of that. But don't overcomplicate it. Write down the price at the time of the news, see how price reacts, give it some time to flush out and decide on which direction it really wants to go. We use about an hour and then go from there. The next big event throughout the year is the FOMC. Of course, this is a big deal. It's all about interest rates and what the Fed's doing with interest rates and what they expect to do with interest rates. But there are 8 of them throughout the year. We'll get that in a minute. But there's 2 key parts of the Fed FOMC, Fed meeting. At 2 p.m. on Wednesday of Fed week, generally speaking, the Fed meeting goes Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And on Wednesday, there's a 2 p.m. interest rate decision, 2 p.m. Eastern. And you normally get a quick and sort of kind of, I would say, abbreviated reaction to the rate decision. And then the big reaction typically comes at the press conference whenever the Fed chair starts talking at 2:30 Eastern. So you get an initial reaction that has a range that's it's not subdued as a bad way to say it, but the range from the 2 p.m. initial reaction is usually less than the range that occurs after the Fed chairman starts to talk. Is the best way to say that. Similarly to those economic reports where we like to mark down the price right before the news, we like to mark down the price at 2 p.m. Eastern time when the Fed releases its interest rate decision. So that we call the Fed pivot. And the Fed pivot, you all know how pivots work. Above pivot, think long, below pivot, think short. We use that Fed pivot for about 3 to 5 days after the FOMC, just to get a general idea. Okay, is the market stronger or is the market weaker? Here are the Fed pivots from last year. We already had a slide of this from last year, and Chuck filled in the December number for us. So, as we go through the end of January this year, we'll have a new Fed pivot because January 27th and 28th is our next meeting. Take a picture of this slide right here if you kind of want to remember when the meetings are, but there's a link at the bottom of the slide. Take it right to the FOMC page to keep track of that. That link at the bottom, by the way, is also where you can read up on when they actually do report. So that's a good link to have. But January 27th and 28th, that is next week, if I'm not mistaken, it's the first Fed meeting of 2026. Inside the roadmap, we have a great resource here. I'll go to it real quick. Under links, we go to CME Fed Watch Tool, and I'll post a link because this is from the CME group. It's not our link, we just have a link to it. And if we go down to it a little ways, you can see we're currently trading in the, or not trading, but currently in this range here. It tells you the current. And says 95% chance, Tom, that we stay right here at the current rate level next week. But we like to track this as the year goes along to see if they're, what are the odds of them, lowering rates or in a different rate environment, raising rates. If we click over to March at the top, you can see here that in March, the odds are greater to stay as well. A little bit increased odds to lower rates a quarter point. Out to April, just going to click on each meeting. April current still favor the odds. June, a lot can change in 6 months, but in June we have the first expected, at least from the odds here on this website, first expected quarter point cut. You can also, if you like the dot plot, you can come over here to the left and click on chart and get the dot plot. So a great little website here from the CME Group. We got there, I posted a link in the chat, but we got there inside the roadmap. You have the roadmap, go to links, go to CME Fed Watch Tool. Of course, we can't talk about trading news without earnings season. We're in the midst of earnings season. Tom will have to schedule a live earnings session for our earnings folks at some point. But this is kind of the final big news event that we want to discuss today. And, very similarly to trading the Fed or trading economic news, we're not putting a trade on prior to earnings. We're not going to try to guess on what the earnings report's going to bring. All right, we're going to wait for the earnings to release. We can use that hour again after the news to gather a high and low frame, how the stock reacts to trading, and then go from there. Now, Tom also tends to form a bigger picture trend on some key stocks. Everybody remember what he said about Apple recently, Apple warnings? Well, here's what Apple's done since its last earnings report in October. It briefly got above the earnings day, but then quickly turned back down. It's now trading at 247. That's about, 10% or so lower than where it was last time it announced earnings there, Tom.
Yeah, if you use earnings, you use the 3-day algo, you really ought to be able to contain, it's okay to be long or short, but you got to have a way to know you don't have any chance. And I thought this pretty well replicated looking at a stock everybody loves. I love Apple. I got the new iPhone. I love to death, but the problem with it is the different things that go involved, if you understand what I'm saying, okay? I saw something today on the ruling on the tariffs. I just saw that typed in there. But if you go to Kalshi, we'll go there when we go live and a little bit look at Kalshi. They actually give you a date that you ought to look at, I think. All right, let's keep going. Folks, I want you to think about this. How much time do you think I invest on finding trades like yesterday and the day before? I mean, just time in research saying, hey, here's a stock that we ought to buy and how we ought to buy it, correct? And how much time you think I take doing all that stuff? And sometimes I might miss a step due to distractions or anything else. And so I decided that, look, I've got, let's see how to say this very nicely. I have the ability to teach you a process that's going to grow your account. And all you got to do is ask people who've been with me any length of time, and they will tell you, listen and learn. And so I decided, I made a key decision back when I went to Genesis. Okay. And Genesis was the first algo we put together. Okay. And it was just so powerful. And then from Genesis, I went to Sunrise, which I get up early in the morning. It helps me organize everything in the morning. Took my research time down from an hour down to about 10 minutes. I did that. And then we did something a little offbeat called anchor trading. And it does all the research. It tells us when you get in. You got 3 trades a week if you learn my master class. And now people in some of my QQQ, who's traded the QQQ with me? Has anybody have y'all know anybody that trades it more accurately? I've never seen myself traded this accurately because I finally came up with a process to know when to go with the QQQ. And just think about some of the QQQ trades you made over time with me. And so I put together Orion. I am so impressed so far with Orion. We had, it comes out and it analyzes everything that happened overnight, all the stuff that I used to do. It used to take me about a couple hours to put together the research necessary to do Orion. Not Orion itself, but the actual process. And now it's spoon fed to us. Jonathan, comes out right at 12 o'clock when it spoon feds us, right? And so I have found this is it, folks. If you really want, how many people, let me ask this question, how many people would like to have a place to go that would analyze it and take a small amount of money and grow it using the QQQ options? Not day trading, but doing it, okay? Well, we have it in Orion. So this is something very powerful that we have, and I want you to know about it. So Jonathan, let's answer some questions. I want to go live, then we're going to come back and play a recording. What I'd like to do is go to a live market, and I would like you, I would like Jonathan to show, unless you got slides for this, if you buy something and sell something, how you make money. We talked about it. Do you have that slides, or what do you have?
You can just go live to that.
I just go live and walk it through the steps. I want people to pay attention. Use Thinkorswim if you don't mind.
Sure.
I mean, you need to learn this. I'm not saying you have to do it all the time, but if you learn this, you'd be surprised how much better you understand trading when you learn. I bought it here, sold it here, or I sold it here and bought it here. And you've heard me say keep the B's less than the S's. And that's what we do. So let's go to that, Jonathan, if we can. Mind?
Don't mind at all. I'll load up a sim site. We can buy and sell all you want. What you
All
want?
right, let's buy an option for $1. Go out about 25 days. Just find me an option for $1. Buy 10 of them.
SLV, I'll have 13, doesn't matter, but $1. Oops, $1. 10. Let's go get this build right away on this sim platform. See how long it takes.
Okay, before you go to the next slide, how much money, if you pay $1 for 10, how much money are you putting up? I want everybody to put an answer in here. Everybody, I want to contribute to this answer. If I buy 10 options at $1, $1,000 is the correct answer. Okay? So if you sell that option for less than 1,000, you lose money, right? All right, Jonathan, you go on and showing the next steps, showing what the platform's telling. I want you to know the math.
Yeah, sure. On this platform, at the top, there's a monitor page where your positions are. You can see a lower tab here, a lower row of tabs, activity and positions. We got SLV, we just entered. There's 10 contracts plus 10. It's got 23 days to expiration. We bought it at 98 cents. Currently 96 cents. It's showing a open P&L of negative $20 because of that 2 cent difference there on the 10 contracts. And of course, if we bought it at 98, we'd have to sell it for something higher than 98 to make a profit. To do that, I'm just going to right click on the order here that's open, and you can see it kind of highlights the row. If there were 2 legs, you can kind of left click and drag down on both legs, but we just have 1 leg open, so just gonna right click on the leg, create closing order, sell the 10 call options for something higher than we bought it. Let's just keep it simple and go 10 cents up. Change to go to cancel, confirm, and send. Just to show you how to get a working order on there, nothing exact.
Okay, go back to that. I wanted to learn something. He put it in at $1.10. What's the current price of the option?
96 and a half.
Are you going to fill at $1.10 if the bid ask is 96?
Nope.
Everybody say, yes, you'll fill, or no, you won't fill. If you put a limit order in at $1.10 and they're only willing to pay 96 cents. No, you're not going to fill. So either you got to adjust your order or you got to have diamond hands and say, I'm not going to sell it unless it gets to $1.10. Does everybody understand that?
I did kind of go over this. Make sure you're using a limit order and not a market order. Limit order, get you filled at your price or better. Change your time and force to go till canceled. All basic order actions, confirm and send. You can hop over to your monitor tab again on this particular platform and look at your working orders. It's working at a $1.10 limit, current price 97 cents. And it won't fill unless it gets up there to $1.10. As Tom mentioned, if you want to adjust that order, you right click on it. You go to cancel and replace order. It brings up that trade ticket again, and you can, maybe lower it or raise it however you want to go about it.
Going down at the bottom where they see where the current bid ask is.
Right here, 96 by 97. Or 96 is the bid, 97 is the midpoint, but
So if I wanted to sell it right now and get out of it, you put it at 96, put it at 96. And how much would I lose on that trade if I sold it at 96? Just don't showing you, just see what they say. Bought it at $1, you sell it at 96. Neil, how'd you lose $20 when you lose 40? 4 cents times 10 is $40.
well, because the platform filled us at 98 cents, Tom. That's why I said 20.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Neil. I didn't see that. Jonathan's backing you up there. Okay. Now, does everybody understand now when you buy something, how much you pay for it? And I did simple math, 10 contracts. So if you put up $1,000 on each trade, it makes life simple. You got 1,000 up, and you just brought back 980, so you lost 20 bucks. Okay. The next thing I want to do, let's say that you don't want to put a price on it, but you want to use a stop. How would they put a stop on it?
Let's go buy it again. Let's go buy it again.
So, B, don't you think the big picture, I know there's cost of doing it, but don't you think the big picture is more important right now? You know you got cost for doing the trade, whatever your commission rate is, right? But the big picture is you got to understand the concept.
All right, we're long again from some price, and it's open. Right click and create closing order. But instead of using a limit this time, we'll use a stop order. And what do you want the stop price to be there, Tom?
Where's the current price?
94 cents, 95, 96.
Put it at 93.
93-cent stop. Time and force good till canceled. Remember the order type stop. 93 cents. Won't fill unless price falls to that level or lower. In fact, if price falls to 93, it will trigger a market order. So it doesn't guarantee a 93-cent fill, but it guarantees if the price goes below 93, it'll get you out of some price.
Neil, on a very highly active option like the QQQ, I don't use a stop limit. I use just a stop. I might get screwed 1 or 2 cents, but I just want out if it goes against me. Okay. So understand that's what I'm doing. Okay, so if you're trading, it will help you to understand the art of trading by documenting where you get in, put your buy, where you get out. That's on a simple buy and sell. But what if you sell first? It works the same way. If you sold it at $1 and bought it back at 96, you actually made 40 bucks being short that option. So the sell is posted first and your buyback is second. If the buy is less than S, you make money. That's simple. The reason I'm spending so much time on this, I'm shocked that people are trading and they don't get this simple concept. Okay? Robin calls Thinkorswim, ask them. I don't know, it's a good question, ask him. What I'm trying to do today is demonstrate to you the basics of trading. Because if I tell you I make 20 cents on a trade, you need to know I paid $1, sold it for $1.20. That's 20 cents. That's the point I'm making. Because I don't believe if somebody sat down with most of you and showed you how powerful what we do is, your eyes would be wide open, because what we do with these options is really extraordinary, I think. And not all of them don't always work, but the idea is the majority that we do puts you in a very good position. Now let me ask you a question. I do notice that there is an issue with Tasty Trade today. Have you heard anything from Tasty Trade themselves about fixing it? Anybody called the desk or something and asking? All right, today's subject was determining whether you made money or not. We'll go further. John, we need to do something like this every day, just a little piece, okay?
Okay, I can do that.
Pete says they're working on it. Okay, good. Hopefully get it fixed. David asked, how does Orion differ? Well, Orion's got some extra criteria in it, and you'll notice with Orion, okay, it takes trades whether the market goes up or down. Could we do this with futures first on Thinkorswim? Yeah, we can, Carol. Not today, but we can do it. Put that in our thing that we need to cover, Jonathan, okay? Great idea, Carol.
Yep, can do that. Definitely.
Okay, the last thing I want to do is analyze silver before we go and play the recording. Put SLV up there, please. Okay, notice SLV, Jonathan, showing the red over there on the right-hand side on the short term where they can see it. red arrow. See that? Okay.
Right.
That is telling you silver's correcting. But if you look at the bullish side, it's fine. This happens in the market, okay? Heck, we made all-time highs. Do a breather, okay? But use an MTI. Now go to the roadmap software and let's talk about the roadmap in SLV.
Here's the daily on the roadmap. You can see that blue line's the weekly open. Got to get above that. 86.19 is the week open on SLV. Of course, this week, that's Tuesday's open.
All right, come back to 30-minute.
30-minute. Let me try to get rid of that bad tick pre-market here. Download data. Nope. Delete bar. Nope, got rid of the wrong bar. Well, I'm gonna have to deal with that bad tick, Tom, is all I can tell you. Let's see if I can try to get it deleted. There we go.
Okay. All right, where is the high of the preceding bar on silver?
High of the preceding bar was 85.19.
And the high of RB3?
85.89. 85.89.
Okay, those are the numbers I would use, and I would take the midpoint of the high and low for the week. Let's figure out what that is. How high did we go today, and how low did we go this week on SLV?
The midpoint is about 85. It's 84.98 based on this chart, this weekly chart.
Yeah, and what's the low, Jonathan? The low is important too.
The low is 83.64. That came from this morning.
Okay, 83.64 is the low, okay? And the midpoint's 85 what?
It was 84.98. So we can call it 85, or you could even call it 85.19, the high of the previous bar. It's got to get above that anyways. So if it gets above that, it'll be above the midpoint of the week.
That's on the SLV, okay? I just want to show you, not bad, just correct. Now, the market was coming down from RB3. Everybody understand that, right? Which means the odds of making a low down there at the low of the day, which was 83.50, are pretty good if we trade back up. Odds are you'll run into a lot of resistance up there at the high of RB3. If you get through that, you got a total reversal. That's what you got to look for. Probably happen tonight, my estimation. Okay. And the market's correcting right now, Jonathan.
Let me flip it over to the S&P futures. There we have it. Genesis time.
Yeah. And again, difference in futures is RB3 is below it. And what's that low? About 68.45, my pivot number?
That's right.
That's pretty interesting, isn't it, folks? Does everybody find the way we did train and trade today very knowledgeable for you? I mean, are y'all happy with what we did today? I'm just curious. Give me some feedback. And Jonathan, publish, if you will, how they can send friends or whatever to build these numbers. I mean, y'all don't want me to quit, do you?
Every day, Monday through Friday, the market's open. We go live at 11 a.m. Eastern time.
Okay, and do me a favor, if you will.
All past recordings are found on the YouTube channel. We're live every day at the YouTube channel, which you can get to by dtitrader.com/live or /YouTube, excuse me, not live. dtastro.com/YouTube. And when you get there, click on the live tab. That's where live comes in for the replays. dtastro.com/YouTube and click on the live tab when you get there.
Okay, let's play Orion. Today on live trading, Jonathan, I want to show them how to build their own mutual fund with silver and gold and live trading. So call me and I'll give you how we do it. Okay.
Okay.
I did it yesterday, and I'll tell you, it's pretty unique what I did. And I'm looking at it today, even with silver pulling back and gold, it gives you a real good, what I would call, play for yourself. I like it.
Yeah, I look forward to that. That's at 1:30 today, right?
Yeah, 1:30.
All right, we got the video queued up for Orion, and we'll have a listen. See you at 1:30, Tom.
I'm back. See ya.